First video we're going to do is fairly simple because the denominator in each of the fractions we're adding is the same. At the top here you can see we've got the bar model to represent one whole divided into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equal sized fifths. The blue section, which I've underlined here, represents 3/5. If I add 3/5 and 2/5, I simply add up the top number of the numerator and that gives me 3 add 2 equals 5/5. As well as writing 5/5 as 5 over 5 or 5 out of 5, I can also then convert that because 5/5 is the same as 1 whole. If I was going to do another example using the same fraction, I might use 1/5 add 2/5. Again, because the denominator is the same, all I do is add the 1/5 add 2/5 simply equals 3/5. As you can see here, 1/5 add another 2/5 is 3/5 altogether. And there's no need to convert or simplify that fraction. The second type of fraction we're going to add is slightly trickier because in this case the denominator is not the same on both fractions. For example, 2/5 add 3/10. Now clearly fifths and tenths are not exactly the same, so we need to do some converting here. There are several ways to do it, but the way I'm going to show you now is to try and turn fifths into tenths. Okay? 2/5 is the same as a number of tenths. The way we work this out is we work out how do we get from 5 to 10 by multiplying. And we should know our times tables. We know that 5 multiplied by 2 is 10. So whatever we do to the bottom of a fraction, we do at the top. So 2 times by 2 again equals 4. So 2/5 is the same as 4/10. We've now got two fractions, 4/10 and the 3/10 that we started with, that have both got the same denominator. We are now working in tenths. So just like we did on the previous example, we can just keep the denominator the same on the bottom, which of course is 10, and then do 4 add 3, 4/10 add 3/10 is 7/10. On this example we're going to look at how to do 3/4 add 1/12. Now because the denominators aren't the same, we need to convert one of them so that the denominator is the same. Now we can do that because I know that 4 can multiply by something to become 12. So I take my 3/4, I'm going to have to convert it into twelfths. And I know, because I know my times tables, 4 times 3 is 12. Whatever I do to the bottom of the fraction, I also do to the top. So 3 3s are 9. So 3/4 is the same as 9/12. Now I've got my 9/12, which replaces my 3/4 because it's the same value. Add 1/12, because now the denominator is the same, that stays the same on the bottom of my answer, and I have 9 add 1, 9/12 add 1/12 is 10/12. I could simplify that, although I don't need to at this point. I could simplify 10/12, I could halve both numbers to become 5/6. If you want to know more about that, you can see one of the other videos, but at the moment 10/12 is a good answer, and it's an acceptable answer that will get you a mark in a test, unless the question asks you to simplify it. Final example we're going to do of this type of adding fractions is we're going to do 2/3 add 5/6. Again, the denominator isn't the same, so I'm going to convert 2/3 into a number of sixths. So 3 times by 2 makes 6, 2 times 2 is 4, gives me 4/6. So if I take 4/6, add 5/6, the denominator is the same, so I add the 4 and the 5 from the top to make 9/6. 6. Now 9/6 is an improper fraction because the number on the top is bigger than the number on the bottom. In some cases 9/6 will be an acceptable answer, in other cases you will have to convert into a mixed number. There'll be more about converting improper fractions to mixed numbers on another video, but at the moment we can just quickly do it by saying we've got 9 out of 6. 6 out of 6 would be 1 whole, which leaves us with 3 out of 6 left over, so it would be 1 whole and 3/6. So 9/6 is the same as having 1 whole, 6/6, and 3/6 left over, so that's 1 and 3/6. But for most answers, unless it asks you to write it in its simplest form, or to write it as a mixed number, 9/6 will actually be an acceptable answer to this question. Our final type of addition of fractions is probably the hardest of the lot, because here we've got two fractions and we can't simply multiply one of the denominators to make it into the other denominator, because we've got to find the common multiple of both of these numbers, because 3 doesn't multiply by anything to make 5, so we can't do what we've done with the previous example. A good way to work out what a common multiple of them would be is to look at the 5, look at the 3 on the bottom. If you multiply those together, you get 15, so 15 is a common multiple of both of these numbers. So I start with my 3/5, which is the same as, I'm going to try and turn that into 15ths. 5 times by 3 is 15, so I also multiply the top by 3, 3 3s are 9. Then need to work on my second fraction, 1/3. Again, I need to write it as 15ths. So 3 times by 5 this time makes 15, so I also multiply the top number by 5, which makes 5/15. So that gives me 9/15, and I'm going to add to 9/15 5/15, which puts us back in the position we were with the first type of adding fractions, where the denominator is the same. So I do 9, add 5, equals 14/15, or 14 out of 15. For our next calculation, we're going to do 2/3 add 1/4. Now again, we have got two denominators, and you cannot multiply 3 by anything to make 4, well, not by a whole number anyway. So what we need to do is convert both of them so that they've got the same denominator. Again, we can look at the bottom number. 3 times by 4 makes 12, so let's convert them both into 12ths. We've got 2/3 equals how many 12ths? Well, 3 times by 4 will make 12, so I multiply the 2 on the top by 4 as well, which gets me 8/12ths. Do the same for the second number, 1/4. I'm going to turn that into 12ths. So 4 times by 3 is 12, so I multiply the 1 by 3 and I get 3/12ths, which leaves me with 8/12ths add 3/12ths. 8 add 3 is 11. The denominator is the same, so we keep that the same in our answer. We have 11/12ths, and it's a proper fraction because the number on the top is smaller than the number on the bottom. The numerator is smaller than the denominator, so it can stay the same. So our final answer is 11/12ths. Right, for our final calculation, we've got another example where the denominator is not the same. So I'm going to look at 3 and the 10. If I multiply them together, then I can get 30. So I'm going to convert both of my numbers into 30ths, which is an uncommon fraction, one that you might not be familiar with, so it's really extra important that we do all of the working out to show that our answer is correct. So 2/3 is the same as how many 30ths? Well, 3 times by 10 gives us 30, so I also multiply the 2 by 10, gives me 20/30ths. Move on to the 7/10ths, convert that also into 30ths. 10 times by 3 is going to make 30, so 7 3s are 21, which leaves me with two fractions that are out of 30. So I've got 20 out of 30, add to that 21 out of 30. Now my denominator is the same, so that will stay the same on the bottom of my answer. 20 out of 30, add 21 out of 30 is 41 30ths, which again is an unfamiliar sounding fraction, but it is the correct answer. I can convert it because it's an improper fraction with the numerator bigger than the denominator. I can convert it because there are 30 30ths in one whole, and then if I have 30 30ths out of 41 30ths, there are 11 30ths left over, which is my final answer. Hope you've enjoyed the videos. Look at some of our other videos to see how to do some of the other techniques, including methods for multiplication and division. Thank you.